Hello, hello. Today we are going to be reacting to and breaking down The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This is a 1920 movie, 100 years old, over 100 years old. And I have been wanting to watch this movie for a very long time. So I finally did, and it was fantastic. It's my first silent movie, and it was fan-frickin-tastic, let me tell you what. So let's jump right into it. This movie begins with our main character, Francis, sitting on a bench beside an older man who tells Francis that spirits have driven him away from his family and home. As the man complains, a woman walks past them. She seems to be in a daze. Francis explains that the woman is his fiancée Jane, and they have suffered a great ordeal. Now, from this point, the majority of the movie that I'm going to describe is a flashback of Francis telling his story, which takes place in, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Holstenwall, a small village called Holstenwall. Bear in mind, this is a German movie, so... Francis tells the man that he and his friend Alan are in a friendly competition for Jane's affections and plan to visit the town fair. Meanwhile, we see a mysterious man who we learn is Dr. Caligari, seeking to get a permit from a rude clerk so he can present a spectacle at the fair, which will feature Caesar as a nambulist. A nambulist, if you don't know, is a sleepwalker. I had to look it up. But I love that word. The clerk gives him a hard time, but does eventually approve the permit. That night, the clerk is stabbed to death in his bed. The next morning, Francis and Alan go to the fair and check out Caligari's sideshow attraction, where he opens a coffin-like box which shows a sleeping Caesar. Upon Caligari's command, Caesar awakens and answers questions from the audience. Caesar, if you haven't caught on, is the name of the somnambulist. I'm just saying, so we're on the same page. Alan asks, "How long shall I live?" Despite Francis trying to stop him. Caesar answers Alan's question, to Alan's horror, until tomorrow. Later that night, someone breaks into Alan's home and stabs him to death in his bed. Francis, though grief-stricken, investigates Alan's murder with help from Jane and her father, Dr. Olson, who's able to get authorization from the police department to investigate the somnambulist. That night, police catch a criminal who's in possession of a knife and was trying to murder an elderly woman. When questioned by Dr. Olson and Francis, the criminal admits to trying to kill the elderly woman, but denies any part in the previous two deaths. He was simply taking advantage of the situation and using it to divert blame from himself. So he attacked this woman and used the whole idea of this. Well, I don't think the public knows it's a sleepwalker, but they know there's somebody going around getting into people's places and stabbing them to death. And he was using that, hoping that the police would think that it was all tied into one thing. Although this was out on the street, and so far everybody who has been found stabbed to death has been found stabbed to death in their beds. So I don't think he thought that through very much. Just saying. Night falls again, and Francis spies on Caligari and sees what appears to be Caesar sleeping in his box. However, the real Caesar sneaks into Jane's house as she sleeps. He raises a knife to stab her, but rather abducts her, and after a struggle, dragging her out through the window and into the street. As he's chased by an angry mob, Caesar eventually drops Jane as he flees, and soon he collapses and dies of exhaustion. I mean, and listen, I have to mention the set work in this movie, okay? It's like over 100 years ago, okay? However, and although it's very simple, it almost has the look of like cut and paste, if that makes sense. But everything's off kilter, on an angle, in weird shadows. It's shot, it's not black and white the way you would think. It's like black and green, or like gray and green, or white and blue. And the use of color, shadow, shapes is just, it's absolutely fascinating and creates an ambiance that I truly was not expecting. This movie, I don't think my breakdown could do it justice. I don't know enough about the history of film and how film is used and lighting and all that kind of stuff, but I truly adored this movie. It was fantastic. Everything about this movie is absolutely fantastic. It was so freaking good. Francis confirms that the criminal who confessed to the murder of the elderly woman, or the attempted murder of the elderly woman, is still locked up and couldn't have been Jane's attacker. Francis, with the police, along with the police, investigate Caligari's sideshow, only to discover that the Caesar sleeping in the box is only a dummy. As Caligari escapes in all the confusion, Francis follows him as he seems to run into the insane asylum. Through further investigation, it seems Caligari is the director of the asylum. With the help from the asylum staff, Francis reads through the director's diary and records as he sleeps. The writings reveal to us through flashback that he is obsessed with the 18th century story of a mystic named Caligari, who used a somnambulist named Caesar to commit murder in northern Italian towns. Oh dear. The director, trying to understand the earlier Caligari, experimented on a somnambulist who had been admitted to the asylum and becomes his Caesar. The director screams, "I must become Caligari." And it's so over the top. It's great. I love it. Like, it's all silent, but you know, they have the little subtitles and stuff, and because there's no sound, everything is like over exaggerated, and gestures are so grand, and I mean, it's theater at its best. It's fantastic. I love it so much. Once the flashback concludes, the doctors and Francis call the police to Caligari's office, where they show him Caesar's corpse. Suddenly, Caligari attacks one of the staff. He is subdued and put into a straitjacket and becomes an inmate in his own asylum. Now the narrative returns to present. That was all flashback. Now the narrative returns to present day, where Francis concludes his story. In a twist, we see Francis shown as an asylum inmate. Jane and Caesar seem to be patients as well. Jane believes she is a queen, while Caesar isn't a somnambulist, but he is awake and doesn't seem dangerous. The man that Francis refers to as Dr. Caligari is in fact the hospital director. Francis attacks him and gets put into a straitjacket and then placed into the cell where Caligari was confined in Francis's story. The asylum director says he understands Francis's delusion and is quite sure he can cure him. And the movie just kind of ends. This movie is over an hour long, which kind of surprised me. But what surprised me even more was that it felt like it was 20 minutes. The movie just flew by. It was fantastic. From the moment it started to the moment it ended, I was all in, 100%. I was just absolutely just enthralled with this movie. Like I said, the lighting, the very theatrical acting, the grand gestures, and it was so friggin' good. It was so friggin' good. Their use of light and shadow, and like I said, this almost cut and paste, childish, dream-looking set that they've made, where literally, like, nothing is square or round or straight, or everything is off kilter and nothing is centered, and everything seems wrong, right? And it goes beautifully with the dreamlike, insane quality of the story. It is so good. It is so good. I'm getting ready to do a breakdown and reaction to Nosferatu. I've already watched it, like the new one. I've already watched it. I've also seen the 1972 version. But I kind of think what I want to do is go back and watch the 1922 version, because I kind of want to compare them. It'd be a huge video. It'd be the biggest video I've ever done. I don't know. We'll see. But these older movies, I mean, to remake them now, I don't think they translate with the same punch. Like, there, to my knowledge, has never been a remake of any kind of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. There have been several remakes of Nosferatu, and Bram Stoker's Dracula, for that matter. I believe the whole thing with Nosferatu was that it was an actual ripoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. In all the Nosferatus that I've seen, you see taken right out of the book, scenes taken right out of the book, right? But yeah, I mean, none of the Nosferatus that I've seen, and that's why I want to watch the original, because the 1972 one, I think it was 1972, was better than the remake, as far as I'm concerned. But I want to see the original, because the new one that's out, they actually tried to make it look like the original with the black and white and whatever, with the exception of the fact that it's not a silent movie, right? So I kind of want to watch the original and kind of compare. I really don't think that you can do it justice. These old movies and the way that they're done and the outrageous, over the top, but still beautiful, and still there's a subtlety to it. And I mean, it's just a whole different art. It's a whole different way of acting. It's a whole different way of filming. And yes, our technology is better and things are clearer and whatever. I have probably unpopular opinion about that, but I prefer the grit, especially when you're doing a movie like Dr. Caligari, or which isn't really a horror movie, but it's very dreamy and it's unsettling and it is creepy, but I don't know. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating to me. It stopped. These old movies are just so fascinating to me. And I kind of want to dive into more of them. Whether or not I do it on the channel or not, I don't know. We'll see how much interest there is in it. But for me personally, I don't know a lot about the technicalities of movie making and all that kind of stuff. Film history, all that, lighting, all that kind of stuff, all the technical stuff. That's not my area. I don't know any of that. I'm not a film critic, but I do have a very deep love of movies, and I am finding that I'm really starting to gear toward these really old movies. Their storytelling is just so different and fascinating to me. It's very interesting. Anyways, I really enjoyed this movie. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown and reaction. But until next time, take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.